right from managing 6 core policy admin systems in different companies to managing HRMS, payroll. For a very brief period, I also managed infrastructure. So that gave me a lot of confidence. People are good with executing. They are not good with delegating. Why it is necessary to upgrade the infrastructure or application stack? You have to be sure that at least the underlying business need is getting fulfilled, and you are not just doing the transformation for heck of it. In last 8 to 10 years, there are only 3, 4 companies who are leading consistently over the period of years. It is now mandatory for everyone to have a IT or digital strategy if they want to even survive. Earlier, it was a value add. Then IT became a strategic enabler. The first thing that you need to do is you need to respond to ever changing regulatory environment faster and faster. So all your systems should be agile enough to take up those changes very fast.
How has been your the childhood and early days, and then when you decide to pursue your career in the technology, when what has motivated, especially moving to the insurance? So how your personally journey translated and then motivated you to join insurance side of the industry?
Thank you. So I'll probably answer that in 2, 3 parts. So the childhood was pretty normal. I came from a area in Rajasthan, which is a very uniquely positioned. It's a border area of Rajasthan, Punjab, Pakistan, and Haryana. So there were so many. It was a very multilingual, multicultural area that I belonged to, and it was pretty sleepy life. When you are in a small town, it's a sleepy life. It was very good in that sense, and I think so. It's very fortunate for our generation who has seen all of those transition. In at least in my generation, I've seen computer was a luxury to start with. Then it became a household item for medium, earning families, and then it became a commodity. So that sense, I was always fascinated by technology. Uh, Very start in my, maybe I was on 10th or 11th. I saw the computer, and I was very fascinated by it, and that's when I thought I'll pursue computer science as a stream uh, uh, to differentiate myself, because where I came from, typically the career options were either MSc, BSc, or BA, MA, those regular conventional courses. So I was very fascinated by computers, and that's where I kind of got introduced to computer. I did my diploma in computer science, and then electronics and communication, and then slowly and steadily I got selected very initially in my career in Satyam Computer Services, which became Tech Mahindra later. And that's when I got to travel a lot of cities, met a lot of clients, and that's how my journey started in tech and insurance. So that's pretty much it. It's not a very special thing, but uh, uh, when I was in tech, the first client that I met was SBI Life Insurance, and they were at that time were trying to grow. And from SBI, I gone to Agon, I gone to IDBI, to SDFC, to Kotak, to Liberty, and now here. So I've been fortunately been part of small, medium, and large insurance company in different capacities, and that's how my journey has been so far.
No, that's quite nice, and I think through and through, you have been in the life insurance. That makes as a specialization, so makes you more special, because having that focus, and then the in and outs completely. I mean, instead of like diversifying and getting all over the place. So how do you, as you said, like you to travel and then you've been moving. Yeah. So how do you strike that balance between your the professional and then the personal work?
I think so. It is always finding that sweet spot, whether it is traveling. So I love, first of all, I love travel. I love getting to different places, trying their foods. So that's one. So travel was always in my bucket list. Now, because the profile allows that, it kind of adds more excitement to the overall journey. But on the path, I think so now uh, there are tools, technologies available which allows you to always connect with family. Uh, you can plan your life better. So it's all about planning. The way I look at is it's all about planning, uh, getting the, and to that extent getting the right partner in your life. Okay, so that they understand what kind of profile that you have and what are the things that they demand, and then accordingly you tailor your uh, personal life. Like Saturday, Sunday, typically I reserve it now for my family, and then we try to do all the normal things that we would want to do, whether it is attending cricket practice uh, or doing going out for movie and things like that. So it's always an understanding that you would want to have, but if you plan it, that understanding becomes more and more clear.
Correct. And I think that's a great, I mean, I think everyone like these days, Monday to Friday, like you are busy, but at least it is striking that balance and then your partner understanding like, okay, the weekends are for them. And then the rest of the week is like for the professional thing. And then you are really cutting that off like on the weekend. I mean, that really gives that kind of like the break and you are able to refresh so as like the family. I mean, I think, I mean, well articulated. Like, so how your career began with roles like, I mean, like I think you started like the hands-on, like the software engineer, and then earlier like you talked about like the Aeon, and then looking forward, how did this like the early hands-on experience helped you in shaping into your leadership and then the technology today?
So that I must give credit to all of my managers who kind of uh, sat me down. They always pushed me. So the career progression was always also helped by my desire to try and do different things. So as I said, I started as a developer in Satyam Computer Services Limited for SBI Life as a client. But then I was very intrigued by business analyst, system analyst, project manager, and so on and so forth. So I always wanted to finish one profile and jump onto other. Yeah. So that's how then there were smaller companies where all of these roles are newly built. Uh, Now you have Scrum Master, Product Manager, and so forth. In my generation, it was Project Manager or System Analyst or Business Analyst were relatively new role. So in a smaller companies, I got a chance to play uh, those different roles because the teams were very small, and that's where it kind of opened a different horizon for me, whether I can do system analyst, and end of the day it is I always believe that it is all about breaking down the problem into smaller pieces in whichever role you have, whether it is developer, business analyst, project manager, or any, for that matter, even now as a CTO for Shriram Life, I try to break down problems to pieces which we can solve. Okay, so that's have been always the principle, and then all the managers. I was very fortunate to work with some of the very great uh, managers who kind of trusted me with different responsibility, uh, whether right from managing 6 core policy admin systems uh, in different companies, to managing HRMS, payroll. Uh, i- for a very brief period, I also managed infrastructure. So that gave me a lot of confidence as I went along. And whenever I went to a new company, I always demanded some additional responsibility, which can be valued to my profile. And that's how I kind of uh, uh, grown in the ranks, so to say.
Yeah, and I think like what I observed, like you said, like you are demanding the responsibility. 99.9% people shy away from the responsibility, which is like the very unique thing. Like otherwise, people will say, "Oh, I mean, responsibility added. Let me raise aloud." And I think which seems to be like the one of your biggest strength. So having, I mean, coming from like your hands-on background to the leadership, I mean, are there like when did you face initially any key challenges, and then how did you overcome them?
Okay, so the biggest challenge that I faced was initially when uh, I was into leadership, transitioned into leadership role, in a true sense that, and I had a team of close to 20-25 people reporting to me, and then there were 200 plus outsourcing people. The biggest challenge was the delegation, because hands-on people are good with executing, but they are not good with delegating. So, what at what point in time you want to delegate things? How do you keep track of all the things without getting involved? That was one piece of puzzle that I solved it along the way, and uh, that was the biggest lesson for me, that you cannot do everything by yourself. Now, because you have a team of people, you need to also entrust them with some responsibilities and have a very structured review mechanism, so that they all are also growing, and have a nice conversation with them. It is always, my biggest uh, strength is, I think so, there are people who are working me in different companies over the period of time for close to 17, 18 years. And they know that the manager also thinks about their appraisal as they do. The moment you have that trust and empathy within team, okay, and that freedom to also do mistakes, as long as it is committed with the right intent, I think so. All of this combined uh, gives you a very good leverage, and then probably you can call yourself a leader. But yeah, it's a very big problem to solve in a normal course.
Mm. No, I think you made a very valid point. So like delegating the things, and then
Yes.
generally like most of the people they have fear of the failure. And that's
Yes.
why, like, yeah, so that's what it is said. Like, the ship in harbor is safe, but that's not what ships are built for. So,
Yes. Yep.
yeah. So one of the thing, like, yeah, and I'm just going off track. So, like, somewhere, like, so people ask, like, somebody asked that the Kohli guys, like, if in Maharashtra, like the what you call, like fishermen's, right? So they said, like, how did your father die? So he said, like, he went for the fishing, and then cyclone came, and then that he died in that. They said, aren't you afraid of like? Nah. So he said, like, then he asked the counter questions. How did your father die? So he said, no, he was sleeping and he got a heart attack. So he said, then aren't you afraid of sleeping on the bed? so so that's why like the ships and all those the role, like I mean at times like you need not afraid about it. Let the people learn from the mistake. But and then you made a very valid point saying that those mistakes should not be intentional. If it is an error, genuine thing, that can be spared, but the intent cannot be spared. So I think that's a good point here.
Very nicely put. Very nicely put. And getting the people with the right competency. So in my team, I always try to find a balance. There are some people who are very good at firefighting, but they are not good with the strategic direction. But there are people who are good with strategic directions, but They are not good with day-to-day affairs.
Mhm.
And you need both.
Yeah, correct.
You need people who can firefight at the crisis, and you need people who are not good with transactions, but they are very good with to be state. So I always try to find out a balance of this within teams, uh, do- so that it is a good mix, and then we are running the show as well as we are building it for the future.
Mm. No, I think it's a good. I like the approach. Like, so I think you have almost 2 decades of the experience in insurance industry. So what are like the biggest challenges you foresee, or you would have gone through in terms of the technology and digital? Because in last 2 decades, you would have seen like the huge transformation happening in
Yes.
technology and digital. So what were like the biggest challenges?
The biggest challenge I would say is always the next one. Okay. One that probably, so over the period of time, I've got a lot of challenges in different capacities, but I would want to talk about the current one. So, which is everybody is saying AI, KGI. All of this is posing a very big challenge to organization. There is a huge talent gap within companies. There are external consultants who are talking about AI, but there is no internal talent available for them to get it translated and executed. I think so. That's the biggest challenge. And there are so many jobs which will get obsoleted probably over the period of time because of the automation, because of the cost and things like that. I think so. We are at a very pivotal moment as of now, wherein each CTOs have to decide uh, what to do, in which areas they want to integrate, which areas they want to outsource, which the areas that they want to build internal competency, what is the area they want to outsource. So that's I see so far the biggest challenge. Apart from that, there were challenges whenever regulator came up with something and you need to launch 40 products in 3 months and so on and so forth. But uh, that is like solved challenge. So I do not want to go about it. But over the period of time, all that digital transformation which came, okay, adapting those digital transformation in your company, explaining it to people that why it is necessary to upgrade the infrastructure or application stack now so that you don't become obsolete is, I think so, one of the, and it has been a journey. So it has been a constant challenge for all the CTOs across the board because you have limited money. Now, within that jigsaw puzzle, what is that pieces you want to move so that you have a near perfect picture is something that will, I think so, this will also continue with the, now with AI, the landscape has total change. So let's see.
Correct. I think it's moving too fast, too fast, and then I mean, it is very tough to take a decision because see, we are also in the same business. But again, like I mean, as a company or as a consultant, we always think like one is like saying, okay, when there is a planet like 1 trillion light years from the Earth, there you have like the entire land is gold. If you go and get the gold, you will get the gold at the rate of like one Bisleri bottle. But
Yeah.
end of the day is like how far and how you approach it. Same is the like the journey for the agentic. Like I mean, it's good to hear, but
Yeah.
I mean, you want to do it. You want to really at what point of time, how you start, and then how much the way. Obviously, I mean, I can understand like from you as a CTO, like those are like the challenges and then decisions to be made. Because then, if it doesn't work, it is more of the blame you have to take than the credit.
Same thing happened with, I'm sorry, same thing happened with blockchain, right? As a technology, it was promising. People were, I was also part of one of the forums in blockchain, in insurance and things like that. And it never happened. So sometimes, you know, technology. So as a technologist, you have to be sure that at least the underlying business need is getting fulfilled, and you are not just doing the transformation for heck of it. Okay. So it needs to support the underlying business value. Otherwise, you're if you are just doing a transformation because you like the word, okay, it's going to fail. Whether it is AI, whether it is blockchain, or prior to that it was something else.
So I think you need to plan a journey and then get into the like the phased approach, then try to just do the like in one shot big bang. Even I
Yes.
think, yeah, I mean, rightly pointed out. So, I mean, you have worked with all the top-notch life insurance companies. So, what are like the key differences like this organization approach? Because like you would have been wearing different, I mean, in the same role in different organization. So, did you see like the difference, like the key difference, how the organization work? I mean, you did not name the organization, but in general, how like the way of work changes there? Approach towards the IT strategy or innovation.
So I think so. There are some bare minimum areas and areas of compliance and area of servicing that you need to maintain, whether irrespective of the size. Now, in some companies, because of the volume of scale, because of the cash flow available, they have more capacity to do the digital transformation uh, at outpacing the industry overall. Okay. Uh, so, something like RPA, where, uh, in our parlance, uh, we did it in my previous experience when people were not aware about RPA. And we did that somewhere in 2013, 14, around that time where it was relatively new. I'm talking 10 years back. Mm, and the company was able to take that decision faster because they had that float or money available for experimentation. Uh, so once you have a volume of scale, once you have maturity in your processes, then taking a next level of decision or efficiency is always easy. Okay. And that's why you will see in last 8 to 10 years, there are only 3, 4 companies who are leading the pack consistently over the period of years. Okay. Uh, and then there are smaller and medium sized companies who do not have that much flow, or their customer base is slightly different. It's not uh, digitally savvy, or they're tied to tied three. But now I think so in recent 3, 4 years, interesting things which happened with India Stack, whether it is UPI, Aadhaar, something like now all tied to tier these cities are also becoming the equal digital savvy as rest of the metros are. And that's where now I would I would say uh, in the recent couple of years, uh, I am seeing that lot of companies who were not known for their IT process are also investing a lot in digital IT because they see as a cost effective measure to reach out to customer or achieve the volume of scale. So in last 1 or 2 years, I think so, especially post COVID, I think so it is now mandatory for everyone to have a IT or digital strategy uh, uh, if they want to even survive. Earlier, it was a value add. Prior to maybe COVID or before that, it was a value addition. Okay. But during COVID and after COVID, and with the invent of UPI, Aadhaar, ONDC, all of these platform push from government on digitization, I think, and the digital literacy getting increased overall, I think so it is now mandatory for everyone to have a robust digital strategy.
Mhm. Yeah, but I think well said. Like something which was like supposed to be like the innovative or something, it has become a need of the day now. Where
Yes.
as we are progressing. Yeah. So I think you have done like lots of like big projects, several digital initiatives, and then new workflows, testing, automation, etc. Having learned that, which one you feel like it is like the which is near and dear to your heart, and which you feel proud of it, like something which you have done, which you.
So uh, I think so. There are many. There was uh, w- one project which is very close to my heart. Is digital transformation in my previous experiences on a very personal level, because it taught me a lot as a leader, as a programmer, as an analyst. That took close to 2.5 years, and it was all about consolidating 40 plus system, making a single workflow, and there was a legacy system. Then you need to also retire. So so all the facets, whether it is technology, whether it is non-functional requirement, whether it is functional requirement, the volume, the scale itself was very different. And if I talk about it now, there are a couple of projects on data and analytics very close to me, because we are trying to solve by data and analytics in a company like us. We are trying to solve a lot of problems around uh, the different business areas which we have, whether it is attrition, whether it is persistency, whether it is customer onboarding, and so on and so forth. So that is one area where it's very close to my heart, because it will be a greenfield project for us, and the impact, I believe, will be massive. Where so these are the two projects which I think so are very close to my heart. Where it gave, those projects also gave something back to me. Uh,
No, that's good. I mean, as you said, like there are several. I mean, it's like asking a mother, you have two, three kids, which one is your favorite? So it becomes a tough. It becomes a tough question, right? To
it is a
and
tough. It is a tough.
yeah, it becomes a tough question. So and these days, like the all the emphasis on like the customer and then employee experience, like whether it is the insurance industry or any industry, you know. So what is like your opinion? Like what kind of the role IT plays here? In enhancing this.
So I think so. I divided it into four phases, so to say. So earlier it was more of a value add provider. It was always, uh, you know, a supporting function which was there initially in the 90s and 2000s. People were setting all of those functions. They were trying to do something. They also didn't. Then IT became a strategic enabler. The strategy was also driven by somebody, whether it is CFO, CEO, or CEO, or any other function. They decided strategy, and then IT was more of a, or tech was more of a executing function. So uh, the efficiency of IT kind of enabled them to go to market. I think so. With in the new 3 4 years, in the last 2 3 years, now it is a strategic shaper. So now it defines your strategy. Your IT maturity defines your strategy, or the lack of it. Uh, so that's where it is. I think so. It is strategic shaper now. You have 10 companies which are offering almost plus minus same set of products. You have uh, companies which are, from a product standpoint, there is no much differentiation that you can bring in. Then what is the next thing which company can offer? Company can offer seamless customer journeys. They can differentiate their servicing. They can differentiate their claims experience, underwriting experience, or customer communication for that matter. All of this only by defining the right set of tech architecture and solution with aided human hearing. So now it is a backbone of any company. I all the new companies that you see are even in insurance who are digitally born in that era, which doesn't have too much legacy to deal with. Their differentiator is actually technology. Uh, they see us, they see themselves as a tech company offering insurance. I was speaking to one of the CTOs at such company, and they say we are a tech company who have got insurance license, and that's how we operate.
Correct, correct. And I think it is a valid point. So like earlier it was like the enabler, when not enabler, executor. From
Yes.
executor, it has become like it's more of the proactive and the backbone. So
Yeah.
I mean, that's where like, so that's why like you'll have the CTOs, CIOs thinking too much of it. So earlier it was just a execution. And
Yes.
it's a very valid point. So what are the inefficiencies like you see in insurance IT function, I mean, as per you? And then how they can be like the overcome? Because like there is always like the I mean, margin to improve or like room to improve. So typically, like if you have to nail down, so what are like the typical thing which you think, as per you, can be improved further?
The first and foremost is the talent gap. I think so. Having the technological understanding is okay, but understanding domain uh, and then translating it to technology is one change which is I don't think so. It is solved enough uh, completely. So the talent gap in a IT function who understand insurance uh, is something that we have to constantly solve, and it is still not solved fully for that matter. Uh, the other challenge that I see is cyber security. In that area, the the actors are moving way faster than us. So we have to constantly evolve ourselves to improve our security footprint. These are the two key problems. Yes, obviously there are others uh, with respect to insurance as a vertical, whether it is mis-selling or whether it is agent attrition, all of that has to be solved. But from a tech standpoint, if I have to only restrict myself to tech as a function, then uh, having a right talent and having improved your security posture uh, constantly would be the two-way challenge, I will say.
No, I think it's like rightly said, like people either know the IT or they know the business. But knowing both side of it is important, because like if you know technology and you do not know, so you'll not be able to solve the problem or those inefficiencies, and vice versa. And another thing, like you rightly pointed about, like the risk and fraud also, like which is again like whether it is a insurance company, is a bank, or anyone. And that is a big risk everyone possesses. Like, yeah.
Yes, yes.
And then since in your 2 decades kind of the journey, you would have like earlier people you were using the legacy system. Now there is a combination of the legacy and then modern system. So how do you address such thing? Like if at all, like in your current or earlier companies, whether you would have like came across like the legacy systems. So how do you solve that puzzle, like with the modern IT solution?
So I think so. First of all, you have to understand that both the landscape have its own advantages. Whenever the core systems are built, they are built to handle scale, they are built for accuracy, but they were not agile. You cannot go and change it every day. What you need to come up with, typically in architecture where you hollow the code, you typically move certain features where the changes are much more frequent, bringing into the new technology or front end or any uh, architecture pattern which supports that kind of agility, and let core handle what they are supposed to do. They are supposed to handle volumes. They are supposed to have a very robust product engine. They are supposed to uh, have very accurate calculation and also and so forth. So you need to have a architecture in a way that does more and more hauling out the core in a very phased manner, so that you are getting that agility, but at the same time you are not losing the accuracy.
Yeah. So as a CTO, like what are like your top priorities and the goals like driving the technology transformation?
So the top priorities are uh, multifold. Okay, the first thing that you need to do is you need to respond to uh, a regulatory change, ever changing regulatory environment faster and faster. So all your systems should be agile enough to take up those changes very fast. So the time to market is something that you need to constantly improve across the value chain, right from employee onboarding, HR to investment function, because there are changes happening constantly. If you talk about the investment function, there are geopolitical consideration which are making your interest rate go down. That means your system should be able to address those kind of change requests faster. Then there are regulations around commission, regulations around surrender value change and so forth. So that means you need to improve your time to market. At the same time, India is a multilingual uh, country, so you need to have more and more personalized customer experience. Eh, That's the second challenge that I see. So you need to go out in the tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 cities or in the villages uh, in the language and a manner that person understands. So design your IT systems or your communication avenues in a manner that is responding to customer in the behavior that they understand is the next big priority. Uh, and then availability. So you need to make sure your systems are available when the customer needs it and not when you actually give it to customer. When I say customer, it is both internal, external customers. So making sure that you achieve these parameters is the strategic priority for me. Now, whether we can have that, now AI is the enabler. So whether you can bring in AI and still compete with the big uh, competitors in your market is the question that we will answer in the coming days. Uh, uh,
Yeah. So good. So like these days, I mean, you already touched upon like the cybersecurity and the risk management.
yes.
So I
Yes.
mean, as we know, like insurance or banking or any, I mean, this is like really critical. Like, so how do you ensure like when you keep your organization safe and then stay resilient and then I mean, how like the defense against the cyber attack, like.
So it's a constant effort. It's a journey. It's a framework, governance framework that you do set. It's a bare minimum standard that you need to set, that you are updating your application footprint in accordance to the guidelines which are provided by regulator, guidelines which are provided by a lot of uh, companies. Uh, you do you create your security governance. You constantly monitor. You also collaborate with a lot of partners who are actually dealing in that area, and they provide you the assessment, and then you have a robust mechanism by reviewing it by uh, very simply, like anything which is getting deployed has to be scanned for those security vulnerability and so on and so forth. So it's all about creating that framework and following it and constantly updating it. Okay, building in our parlance we call building a no trust, zero trust architecture. Okay. That the things are the access and privileges are given to the people who need it, and even then you constantly review all of that on a defined frequency basis, and you always try and see what is happening in the industry for that matter. Okay, connect with those stakeholders, try to adapt their best practices. So create a framework which is agile enough to uh, cater to the ever changing security footprint.
Mhm. Yeah. So, and what's your opinion? Like everyone is these days, like talking about like the cloud computing, the Gen AI, the agentic things, and then how do we like you make sure because like this thing is like constantly changing, and then how do you like a is like keeping a pace with it, and then make sure that you don't pour too much money and then managing the time, right? Because you have to again choose. You cannot take all the battles one time. So how do you strike that balance? Like,
So in that area, I think so. One thing that I do is I keep certain uh, uh, certain area or certain budget only for innovation. Mm. Because that's where you need to try it out before to see whether it is promising enough to be put in practice and in production. So that's one. Okay, however minuscule or big it is, that depends on each CTO's capacity, their volume of scale and things like that. But yes, there has to be a constant learning, and always, and that is where I said you need to understand the domain first to see whether that is the right fitment for your uh, use case. It is it has to be always driven basis use case. For that use case, you need data. For that, so all of this has to be supported well. You need to be very clear in your mind that what is that you are trying to solve, and then the technology is a secondary consideration. Whether to use agentic AI, okay, whether to use AI agent, or whether to use any other technology, whether to use machine learning, whether to use any technology available in the market, whether it is a procedural programming, or all of this is secondary. First, you need to have a very clear understanding of, as a domain expert, that what problem are you trying to solve. And then the second step is where what are the options available that you have, whether you are trying to kill an ant by taking an elephant is something that you have to decide. If there is no AI use case, then don't use AI. If there is a AI use case, then use AI, and then you try and see whether you have the right data available for your AI agent or model and everyone else to get trained, so and so forth. And always have some human element available throughout that cycle, so that you know whether you are going in the right direction or not. So I believe technology is secondary, use case is primary.
Mm-hmm. Correct. Yeah, I mean, what problem like you're trying to solve? What pain point? What I mean, in terms of reducing the error and the reducing the cost, improving the efficiency experience, and all.
Yes.
I think well articulated. Like, so I mean, how do you ensure like the cross departmental collaboration? Because like you are wearing the hat of like the CTO from the IT perspective. So how do you like align your team with the business team? So, I mean, typically, like, I mean, you did mention like earlier question where you said like you need to understand like the business side of it. It is not just the technology. So,
Yes.
though you have said, but maybe if you can little bit elaborate here, like cross departmental collaboration between IT, business, or other.
I think that's very important. I think if I have to pinpoint for anybody to be successful enough, I think so. That's one area where probably AI will not take our jobs is collaboration
Mhm.
or human to human connect. Uh, so correct. So you need to put yourself in that shoes again. That initial domain knowledge is really helpful for you to understand what they're talking about, and then you create a governance framework at each level, which
Mhm.
is transactional, then next is tactical, and then next is strategic. So all three level, transactional, tactical, and strategic level, you have different forums where you are able to understand their plans, you are able to respond to, and then you try to show the value. So if they are saying something, or if they have any plan it in mind, how you can accelerate that process, why you should be informed of something, and then it is easy for driving that decision top down. But my recommendation is that you create a governance forum at execution, tactical, and strategic level, so that at all three levels you have connect with the peer group, which is cross functional department.
Mhm. So, like, I mean, there is a departmental collaboration. Similarly, like while executing the project, there should be like a good collaboration between the vendors and partners. Like, if you have to
Yes.
really
Yes.
deliver the project successfully. So,
Yes.
how do you like? Yeah, can you share some example where like how do you do it differently, or just to make sure that this is successful?
Correct. So the first thing that I see for any partner that we collaborate with, okay, I don't like to use word
US.
vendor. That kinds of n- uh, it's not a good. Uh, so for any partner, for and especially in IT function, lot of it is also what kind of partners that you select with. Sometimes the use case is right, the technology right, everything is right, but the partner itself is not aligned with your vision. So what we try and do is we try and first of all get a partner who is very much relevant for BFSI.
Mhm.
Because if the partner also understands uh, the domain that he is operating in, then you are better in half wall.
Mhm.
Okay. So that's one of the criteria that I see. I think so that's the most criteria I see. Yeah. Because the technical process and other things will come later at the play. But the first thing is the person should be able to understand the language which me and my business is saying.
Mhm.
And to that extent, then you again create the same framework of, uh, you know, your operational, tactical, and strategic, and share your vision. There is a reason why I'm using word partner, because for most of CTOs, those companies or those external partners are the extended arm of IT.
Mhm.
So they should be also aligned with your vision of where you want to steer the company, and whether it is a right fitment uh, for them, what they can bring into the table, what problem they have already solved. So you create those structured governance mechanism based on your relationship with partner, but you try and explain your vision, explain your plan, and get their inputs. If some problem is already solved somewhere else, that problem is worth replicating it here, and that gives a time to market. You don't have to reinvent the wheel over and over again. So that's very critical. So we have a very structured process of selecting a partner. We rate them on different parameters and their technical, if it is a product company, what kind of product, what is the reputation of that product, what is the size of that company, for especially for us, what is the focus on India market, because you could be a very good partner, but if you don't have a specific geographical focus, then the company will always be net negative. So there are parameters that you define basis the nature of problem or use case that you are trying to solve, and then you do comparison of the alternatives which are available, and then you select it accordingly.
Mm. Then I think it's well articulated where, like you said, like when it comes to vendor seems to be like just like, okay, got something and I need to deliver. So it becomes just a job or work to be delivered. But when you say like the partner, then like the partner is like the accountable, then partner co-shares the responsibility, partner is like thinking out of box and innovatively and taking the accountability to for the joint success. So,
Yeah, partner is always a joint responsibility.
joint responsibility, like where like you say like the vendor, then just get into the typical job. So I mean that's really good. So coming back, like yeah, so with your so much of the achievements in your career, is there any project initiative? Like when I think maybe we are repeating this, but again, you want to highlight something.
So there are many projects in different capacities uh, through in each of the company. There was some or other success stories. Initially, and in my career, we build systems for automated commissions. Then, in one company, we did a RPA uh, uh, building. Then, at that time, RPA was still a new term. Uh, uh, so that was one. Then came the age of microservices. So building a totally microservices driven headless system, integrating them through an enterprise was a very good project. Then responding to the need of regulator, where you have to launch 40 plus products in less than 3 months was one. And in this company, then building a data and analytics practice, and then upgrading your mobility stack, building more and more decision upfront in the customer journey. These are the couple of these are the projects that are very dear to my heart. Each project gave me something. So there is very difficult to choose.
Yeah, and then different technology, different experience, like you get it. So what are like the, if you are to name, like what is like the biggest professional challenge you have faced and how did you overcome that? Any like the challenge like you have faced professionally?
So the biggest professional challenge that I regularly face is uh, uh, translating, convincing people that why a so and so, why AI is important for an insurance company. Getting them translated to their own objective, because CFO will look at AI from a very different perspective. A risk officer will look at AI from a very different perspective. CEO will look at from a different perspective. So each has its own version of AI, which is either threatening to them or is an opportunity for them. Getting that consolidated view done and then creating a agreeable roadmap is something which is a challenge that each CTO has to undergo, irrespective of the size of the company now, whether it is the biggest bank in the India or the smallest rural bank. Everyone has to kind of understand uh, their versions of the technology, integrate them together, and make a roadmap. Is a trust me, because you cannot do everything together. So what portion to leave out when, and what portion to pick up when, is a exercise that you have to do. So your tech strategy is something that you have to leave, and sometimes you have to, even though it is important, you have to leave with a very heavy heart that this we understand it is a very big thing, but we will only be able to do it in the next year. So that remains a challenge. Okay.
So, I mean, we talked about a lot of like the accolades and the laurels you have earned in your professional journey. And then the more you earn, then like the more the expectation. It's like Sachin Tendulkar, every time he scores 70, 80, people will say, oh, he has not played unless he scores 100. Now we see the Virat Kohlis and then Rohit Sharma. So similarly, you have earned so many laurels and accolades. So now what is that missing or you still want to achieve it? If you were to call that out. So like as a leader, that what is next?
What next is a very good question. Okay. But finding the right purpose between profit and purpose, or the right balance between profit and purpose is something, any and how technology can help all the organization to be true to their mission, at the same time achieve that profitability, is something that still is an unsolved problem for a lot of leaders, and how it can be leveraged effectively. Now why I'm saying is 2021 was a pivotal point, because with the advent of, now it is, technology is getting more and more domesticated. Uh, so how do you create a framework like in insurance, which is as easy to use as UPI? Yeah. Is one dream that I have. That means you go to any store and you have a scanner there. You do the scanner. It tells you whether you are entitled for insurance, how much, and so forth. And then you typically click of a button, you should get insurance, because we are one of the least penetrated insurance companies in countries in the world.
Correct.
Less than 4%
Correct.
of our people are insured. So how do you, by way of using technologies, how do you increase that penetration, is something I'm really passionate about.
And I think it's a very valid point. So this should be like, I think, suggestion to UIDA or PMO. I mean, like saying like, because the data, as you said, like only 4% are insured and 96% are missing. But there is no data currently which is available. Now by virtue of the Aadhaar, we do have the data, but not about like the other financial data. I mean, though RBI and everyone talks about the data sensitivity, PII, localization. So, I mean, with these things, initiatives, I'm sure like the data is safe. But how to capture that? I mean, this could like be a good project, or like this could be a new billion dollar idea.
No, government is definitely working in
Yeah,
these
working on
directions.
it.
There is something called insurance for all by 2047. That's the vision in which government is operating. So
Correct.
I'm sure there will be steps in this direction. But because you have asked that, what is the problem that you want to still solve?
I mean, that's really big win. I mean, I thought of it
I
like
would
it.
want to really solve that problem. Insurance, buying insurance should be as easy as maybe transferring the money from UPI or ordering a grocery through all of these, companies, new age companies that we have.
And I think it is, you need to learn somewhere. Like I just heard how, I mean, like the General Motor learns, like yeah. So when they were having like this assembly lines, so earlier they used to paint a car one by one. People used to move, but then they saw the slaughterhouse where the things are moving. The General Motors got an idea saying, "Oh, instead of painter moving, let the car move, and then the things spray." So learning out of like from different things. Similarly, the bank should also, when like there was a discussion, and I think it may come, like telco has the number portability. And I can change from Airtel to Reliance, Reliance to Vodafone, Vodafone to something else. So similarly, account number portability, and the new idea now today I got from you for this. I mean, I think it's a really like a great take. So finally, I think with your so much of the decades of the experience, what advice would you give to the young professional who's trying to get into the insurance and then progressing their journey towards the leadership? What would it you tell them? Because these days, like everyone wants to have like the quick thing, and then everyone wants to like quickly succeed. So what is the advice you would like to give it to the youngsters?
So my advice to youngsters would be that whatever that you do, be passionate about it. And especially in insurance, as I said, the opportunity is huge because the gap is huge. Okay. Now with the rising income, I believe this is the very good time to get into BFSI. Now, I just heard a day before, maybe yesterday, we are becoming a fourth largest
Yes,
economy,
we have become.
4 trillion now. So the income levels are increasing. People will more and more focus on banking and insurance need. So this is the right time to get into these sectors. And there is an immense opportunity for you all to grow. At the same time, be passionate about trying to solve some problem, uh, whether it is a small problem or larger problem. Be passionate and be consistent. This is what my advice is. The new generation, I'm sure, the attention span is very, very low. So everybody like 5 seconds, 10 seconds reels and things like that. I don't think so. Career can be viewed that way. You need to be consistent, need to be hardworking and true to your passion. If you find that you are on a wrong train, immediately get off on the nearest station. Okay. And try to find your purpose. Once you have the purpose in your job, then the rest of the things definitely fall in place. Then you will not crave about work-life balance.